All right, we might as well get started here today. So my name is Alyse Clark. I work in the admissions office. I'm going to record this just for purposes of the admissions office. So no worries there. If you'd like to turn off your screens, feel free. But today we're going to talk a little bit about Ross School, the high school and day life for boarding students and day students. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. Like I said, my name is Alyse. I've been at Ross for about a year and a half now. And I really chose Ross because when I was going through the interview process and doing research on the school, I really got lost in the curriculum and the philosophy and the mission statement of the school and how, it's really all about exposing children to a global education and a global community and how important that is to keeping our minds open and allowing room for seeing change and wanting to have change. And I think also just seeing that the curriculum is in a chronological order with a lot of the classes integrated together. I think that way of teaching was something that really spoke to me and inspired me. It's something I always thought made the most sense when I was in college, and I wondered why more schools didn't do it this way. So it's something I'm really passionate about. I love seeing kids who see the beauty and the uniqueness of Ross School themselves and want to be a part of it and really want to take it and run with it. So on that note, I think I'll share my screen. I see some new people coming in right now, which is fine. And we'll start going on about the presentation. So let's see here. All righty. All right, so Ross School, our motto is know thyself in order to serve, which I think is important because, Ross School, a lot of it is about making sure that students are focusing on their individual passions and really figuring out who they are and how they want to make an impact in today's world. So I think we're going to start off with a video because I think it'll set the tone, kind of give you an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. Let me know if things aren't sounding good, but it should be okay.
I love Ross because it's not like any other school. Everything is tied in to culture and global connection. Ross makes me think about the whole world and see how I can change it.
I feel like I'm a part of a larger community in the world.
I definitely would not be the person that I am today if it wasn't for Ross.
I'm much better prepared to go out into the world and be me.
Great. So I'm not really sure how people have learned about Ross School, but we are a smaller school on the east end of Long Island. Our mission statement is to change the way education meets the future, to foster interdisciplinary integrated thinking and innovative leadership, to engage fully in the global community, and to facilitate lifelong learning. And I think global community and facilitate lifelong learning are really big pieces of the mission statement that you're even seeing a little more in depth today. Facilitate lifelong learning. We're learning about, we're living in history right now. And I think that's something that students need to are learning to adapt to. And it's something that, we're hoping our curriculum is teaching students this global education, looking at global history, so we can really understand how, patterns in past societies are really influencing where we might head in the future. So some basic information for you. We have 385 students, nursery through grade 12, 110 boarding students coming from 20 different countries this year. 20% of our boarding students are from the United States. So this year, these numbers are looking a little bit different. We also have a PG year that's not listed here. But usually on a normal year, we have about 25, 27 different countries represented on campus, and we're always trying to grow that number. So I think what you'll see when you're walking around the Ross campus is people speaking in different languages. Sometimes you'll be meeting friends from all over the world, and that global connection is pretty unique. Picture here of all the different flags, just a few. In total, from when we started taking boarding students on, we've had about 45 different countries come to campus, which is pretty cool. So where are we? As I said, we're on the east end of Long Island in East Hampton, New York. So we are surrounded by natural woods, ocean beaches, small towns. It's a very safe location. It looks like many of you might be locals, which is great. So you kind of understand that, little shops, and it's a very beautiful area. And we are about 2 hours from New York City and very close to large airports such as JFK International Airport. And on a normal year, we are taking our boarding students into the city about once a month, or sometimes more often than that. But it's a really cool juxtaposition of, a city life versus a more kind of quiet side of Long Island, which is the East End. So again, seeing beautiful views. This is the end of Long Island and Montauk, which students sometimes visit as well. So our academics. So I kind of briefly talked about this a little. I mentioned it, and also the video talked about it a little. Our curriculum is completely original. And I think this should take us right to perfect. Our interactive spiral curriculum, which you can get to online through our website, but I think it's really cool. So I want to take you guys through it. So the way it works is that students starting in 3rd grade start to learn about the Big Bang and how the world started. And from there, in a chronological order, up to 12th grade, students are learning about a different time in global history. And as we mentioned, all of your classes are going to kind of relate, which you can see here. So under this cultural history umbrella, you're going to be looking at your like your science class, your mathematics class, and thinking, during, say, the Revolution era, which we learn about in 10th grade, students are going to be learning about in science. What were they discovering in science during the Revolution era? What were they reading and writing in English during the Revolution era? And that's your literature class. So it's under this, like I said, umbrella, and everything's kind of streamlined, it's integrated. So it kind of makes sense. You're connecting dots. It's teaching critical thinking and problem solving skills, as you can see here. So for example, if we're looking at the Revolution era, this might be your cultural history class. And if you dive into it a little bit deeper, you can start to learn about, really take a look at what kind of units you're going to be looking at, what kind of integrated projects you'll be looking at as well. What's cool about Ross is, as part of our core curriculum, we have a class called Integrated Project, which is in an essence really pulling together, as I was saying, all these classes that you're learning about, and kind of breaking them down in a more hands-on form of learning. Okay, back to the PowerPoint. So what are you going to see in your classrooms? You're going to see a lot of artifacts and sculptures from around the world kind of surrounding you, which is unique because, it's quite literally what you're learning about in that class. You're going to see a lot of discussion-based, a lot of project-based learning. Sometimes it's a bit more casual. It's all about, everyone has their own ideas, and it's good to hear from everyone. Sometimes it's a little bit more easy than a lecture based. There's going to be classes on robotics, a little more modern, and there's going to be a lot of time for one-on-one time with teachers. So this is good for students who maybe learn better that way. If you have questions, teachers are coming around and helping you. And it keeps just a good community, in that teachers and students, they know each other very well, and, they want to learn together. And, these teachers, a lot of them are artists themselves, or researchers themselves. And, that dynamic kind of creates for a really educational environment. It's pretty great. So we also have ESOL, English for Speakers of Other Languages, for students who are international. It's a good chance for them to increase their proficiency in English before they go off to colleges. So our ESOL program, there's 3 different levels for students who can test into it. And it's part of the curriculum, just encouraging a language-based learning as well as core classes and electives. We also have learning support for students. So if that's something you're interested in as well, just let us know. It's really great. Our director of that is Carl Brandel, and he's pretty cool. So he's great to talk to as well. STEAM certificate is something that we offer. Just recently, we had a couple seniors who got the first ever STEAM certificate a few years ago, which is very exciting. So this is a program that has really taken off and really flourished. We have some great great teaching staff who, faculty who really work with our students on making sure that they're doing what's passion-based for them. And, we have 3D printers, we have robotics, we have drones, we have coding classes, we have science classes, plenty of art classes, the list goes on. And it's really, really fun for students to kind of get that hands-on. And, if they're passionate about something in depth that's not really offered, it's really cool for students to bring this to the attention of their teachers and work from there. Electives. So this is really cool at Ross School. I was really blown away when I saw it because, sometimes in schools it's not as flexible and individualized, but Ross School is very much so that. So we have over 100 electives to choose from, plenty of AP classes as well. I think this past year we had 15 AP class exams proctored. And what it is it's advanced classes actually leading you up to these AP exams, which are just more rigorous classes that also have test prep in them. So we do proctor those on campus. And of course, if you're doing an independent study and we don't traditionally proctor a test for that, just let us know and we'll work with you on that. But the list goes on, as you can see, from world religions to genetics and ethics to architecture to sculpture to acting. It's pretty cool. And like I said, it's very individualized. So we work in trimesters at Ross School, which means that, you get 2 electives every year. Or every trimester, so you get 6 a year. So get a lot of variety, a lot of chance to just explore what you're interested in. Some visual arts examples, like I was saying, like graphic design, woodworking, metal fabrication, ceramics, really cool hands-on learning, so you can really get creative and create something new. What's great about it is there's critiques, you're working with friends, you're working with your staff or your faculty members, and really just expanding the brain. Performing arts as well, we have a great program. It's always fun for the students to, when they find a free period, go to like 1-act plays or a spring musical, or, sometimes we have chorus or dancing or orchestra. And these performances on campus are pretty stellar. They're great to watch, and it really brings everyone together. And, with music also, if you'd like to do an independent study with a one-on-one teacher learning about a certain instrument, that is something as we offer as well. Something a little different about Ross School is we're a very Eastern Western culture. So you're going to see a lot of opportunities to educate the whole child for the whole world. And wellness is one of those. So we don't have your traditional gym class. Instead, we have examples like yoga, rowing, meditation. Maybe you're a little more athletic, so you're going to get into volleyball training or basketball conditioning, things like that. But a great space for those meditation and yoga classes is actually kind of converts into a dance studio as well. This is called Gandhi Hall. Athletics. So we have great athletics at Ross School. I asked you guys in the beginning if you'd rather be a surfing professional or a skiing professional. And just some things that come up from that is we usually go on a skiing trip at least once a year with our students. And we also have surfing as a sport. So if you're interested in that, maybe you want to try it out. Cheerleading is relatively new. We brought it back to Ross School and it is so fun. I highly recommend getting into that if you like to dance a little bit, just be with a ton of friends and really make something of a practice. So badminton is an example of sports. We have soccer, sailing and surfing are two of more of the unique ones that we're kind of taking advantage of the area around us. Track and field, volleyball, tennis, and the list kind of goes on. So these are pretty great. What's cool about Ross is, we are a little bit more of a smaller school. As you saw, we have a 360 on average students. And, sometimes if we don't have a sport that you're interested in, we can pair with another school and kind of get you in through that way. So speaking of tennis, while we do have varsity and JV levels, we also have something called the Ross School Tennis Academy. And this is for students who are truly interested in tennis and the fact that they want to spend half of their morning doing their core classes and their curriculum and going to lunch. And then the rest of their day, they're actually learning tennis with tennis professionals. So this could be a tennis coach from Australia, from Spain, from all over. And we also have some really well-known coaches who come in usually about once a month for a week or so. And that's Gustavo Kirtan and Larry Passo. So Gustavo is, he's a 3-time champion of the French Open, and his former coach, Larry Passos, he also comes and they pair together and kind of work with our students as well. So it's a really impressive program. It's constantly growing, constantly adapting, and it's just a lot of training, and it's really like a fun environment as well for these students. And if you're interested in maybe playing tennis in college, this might be a good option as well. They do tournaments, games, things like that. So what does the campus look like? So here's an overview of our campus. As you can see here, this is our center of well-being. Here we have a community garden that you can take a gardening class if you'd like. I know our little kids love to work in there. And our executive chef is Liz Dobbs, and she'll even go in there and she kind of takes care of it. And she'll grab sometimes some veggies or some spices and use them actually in our kitchen, which is pretty great. Up here is where our lower school campus was. I'm not sure if many of you are aware, but right now our lower school students are in our Bridgehampton campus. So a little farther down the road. And they are there just to kind of help create that physical distancing, and they're having a great time over there. It's a really beautiful campus, but we do miss them. And then as you move back, right here actually is our senior building, and then farther back, we have our media and humanities building and our high school building, which I can show you pictures of. So this is the high school building. I'm sure if you've seen us maybe on social media or even just around, the Nike statue is something that really stands out for us. So the high school building has 9th and 10th graders usually. And as I said, if you're going through, you're going to see a lot of art. You're going to see a lot of plants and architecture and sculptures, and it's just what it feels like you're kind of walking through a museum, which is pretty unique. This is a little more of the senior building. So what you're going to see in the senior building is a lot of those sculptures that I'm talking about, but this is through the stretch of time, because seniors are learning about kind of like a recap of what they've been learning, and then really diving into where might we head in the future kind of attitude. Senior lecture hall is also located in the senior building. This is where senior projects are being presented. It's also meant to mimic a lecture hall in college, so getting that experience as well. Some performing arts classes are done there as well. Center of Well-Being, as I mentioned. So this is the outside view of actually our gym. I'm not sure if the next one might be inside. No, it's not the gym, but nice space, because on a normal year, we have something called town hall, and that's when all the students kind of get together, and the head of school talks about kind of news briefs and things. So it's a nice environment there. Ross Cafe. So if you speak to many alum, I'm sure they will say that they miss the food. The Ross Cafe is wonderful. It has regional, organic, seasonal, and sustainable food. So it's inspired by different cuisines, plenty of options from maybe there's salads every day that you can make, and then you move down the line, you'll get like a vegetarian option, you'll get your meat option, your starch and your veggies and things like that. And what's cool about this is, as I said, it's inspired by different cuisines. So, usually I think it's the 7th graders do a unit on the Mayans, and we'll have one day where we're just eating Mayan food in the cafe, which is pretty cool. And then, for example, another example could be like, we celebrate the Chinese Lunar New Year, and we'll have Asian food that day as well. So it's really cool. It's actually kind of pitched up a little bit in the trees, so it kind of feels like a tree house, which is pretty cool. Smoothies in the morning. Boarding students get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is pretty cool. This is our wood fire oven. On a normal year, every Thursday is pizza day. So something to look forward to if you guys are interested in pizza. More about the classrooms and what you're going to see around. This is a science lab. This is the outside again at the Center of Well-Being. As I was saying, this is Gandhi Hall, so it might be where you're doing some dance lessons. It might be where you're doing some yoga. This is the largest library on campus. It is in the downstairs level of the high school building. Good place to kind of just tuck yourself away, maybe do some homework, things like that as well. But it carries books from the lower school to upper school as well. So that was a little bit of campus. So now we can dive into boarding life. So unlike more traditional boarding schools, Ross School does not have dormitories on campus. Instead, we have homes that are actually homes here located in the Hamptons. And they're large, they're nice. They have usually 2 people per bedroom, sometimes up to 4, but that could just mean the room's a little bit bigger. Each room has their own bathroom, which is pretty great. And when you're going to see in these boarding houses is a lot of international students from all different countries. They are separated by boys and girls. And then you have 2 house parents. And these house parents are usually Ross faculty and staff, which is great because it really carries that Ross, the values, the mission, philosophy over to boarding school life as well. They have full kitchens, so while dinner is usually on campus in the Ross Cafe, students can also order food. They can cook food with their house parents and really kind of take home that family environment. There's also, downtime for like a study hall when you get home after school and things like that. And what I think is great about this boarding style is that, students spend a long day on campus and sometimes it just feels good to kind of go home after. So what does a daily schedule look like? So I was talking a little bit about it as I was explaining the boarding houses, but so you're getting up in the morning as a boarding student, going to school, having breakfast, then you're going to your core classes, English, science, history, and integrated project, as I mentioned. Lunch, so you're kind of getting your kind of harder classes out of the way. You have lunch, and then, we have math, which you test into. So it's at a level that's most appropriate for you. Your foreign language, traditionally we have Spanish and Mandarin as options. We do have students who maybe they're interested in French and they'll declare an independent study and kind of learn on their own. And they'll just be advised by a faculty member to make sure they're on track. Wellness and electives. And then at the end of the day, maybe you have your athletics, maybe you have clubs, maybe you're going to teachers after and just asking for help, which I always want to make clear there's a lot of students do that. It's something, like I said, teachers are really cool here. They want to help you. They want to talk to you. So definitely something a lot of people take into consideration. They have dinner back at the boarding houses, study hall, as I mentioned, and then lights out. So what are these boarding students doing on the weekends? Well, maybe they're going into New York City for a Broadway show or an NBA game, things like that. Maybe they're going ice skating, film festival, bowling, and mini golf shopping. And then I think what is the amusement park that's kind of like close, Splish Splash maybe, I'm not sure, but things like that as well. Field Academy. So this is for all students, not just boarding students. So some examples of Field Academy. Well, first, what it is, it's 3 weeks from February into March, and it's for students to choose from usually about 6 different locations in the world that teachers come up with. And it's a chance for these students to travel to that location with their peers and their teachers and take a class designed around that culture, that location. And it again ties in our whole aspect of global education, global community, and hands-on learning. Experiential learning is very important. I think it helps develop the brain. It helps kind of open minds and hopefully help students kind of grow and be a little bit more confident in themselves as well. So we've had plenty of options. These could be anything from maybe you're picking an option that is about maybe one day you want to study in college, or maybe it's a community project such as building houses, or I think the last one was they built houses in Zimbabwe. So that was pretty unique. So some fun photos of it. Some options, like I said, maybe you're doing media and photography in a different country, or marine biology, or studying in Fiji, or just kind of traveling around. It's paired. It's not so rigorous in that you're not exploring and really taking advantage of what's around you. So I think it's really unique. And if you're not interested in going abroad and, maybe it's just something that you just feel like you're not ready for, which is completely fine. We have classes on campus as well. So that is something you can take advantage of. And those are fun classes as well. They're not going to have you stay and not enjoy your time. Then finally, we have senior projects. So as you're staying with us, you're building your resume up and from ninth grade, doing, your college counseling, you're doing your AP courses, you're taking all these electives, and you're really exploring yourself in field academy, things like this. Eventually come 11th grade, you're going to declare something you're very interested in, hopefully. And really, 12th grade, you spend half of your 12th grade year developing this project, building it through multiple disciplines. It's really a individualized, passion-based project, but you have mentors that kind of help you through it. And it could be anything from fashion design and designing silk scarves based on different cultures, or it's one guy cotton trained a wild falcon and discovered the art of falconry. We've had students spend their summers learning knee replacement surgery and doing a choreographed video on that and what that looks like. This is still in the senior building today. This was a project built by one student. And what it comes down to, as I mentioned, is you give a presentation in the senior lecture hall, and then there's one night where it's kind of opened up to the public, and the public kind of gets to walk around and you get to explain your project and learn about all these different areas of study. As I said, the list goes on. There's people who start businesses, who build guitars, who choreograph a dance. It's really about who you are and what you're interested in. And what is it leaning to? Hopefully university placement or college placement. So as I mentioned, you start college counseling in ninth grade. And I think what's great about that is you're going to be building your resume that's going to showcase your talents, your interests, who you are, and they're going to help you find the right recommendation letters for the right colleges. We have 2 to 3 Ivy League acceptances every year, but of course, we're looking at students who want to go to the college that is their best fit. Where are they going to do the best? Where is they going to have the best community, the right major for them, the right environment for them? It's something that students develop as they go through their high school career, which is pretty great. Again, a list of where you might see students go. It could go from RISD to Babson College. So NYU is another big one for us. And we do spend some time as you get older actually touring colleges too, which is great. What our seniors might look like as their graduation day, big day. And then quickly, I'll talk a little bit about summer term. Maybe you want to dip your feet into the Ross environment and the community and see what you're interested in, or maybe it's something that you want to spend some time in the summer kind of diving into, because it is important to kind of keep your brain moving in the summer. So it usually runs for about 4 weeks. You don't have to do the full 4 weeks. Ages 12 to 19, so it varies. And you can do learning Mandarin, you could do design and innovation, the tennis academy, some really cool classes. I think SAT and ACT prep are some options as well. And these students, sometimes they go on little trips, and sometimes it's just a good place to kind of see your friends again or make some new friends, see the Ross faculty again, and really just dive into some fun projects. As we're wrapping up a little, this is a quote from a senior alum. She says, "As a result of going to Ross School and studying the integrated curriculum, I can't think of myself as just being a writer without also being a historian or a scientist or a mathematician or an artist." And I think that was a really cool quote, because it really goes to show everything I've been hopefully trying to get across, that when you come to Ross, you're not kind of just narrow-minding yourself into one path. There's so many options that you can branch out into. And, it's not even just in the curriculum. It's in the fact that if you're interested in a certain topic, then it's something you can do an independent study on. If you're interested in many different electives, take the electives. So it's really an environment to set a foundation for you for when you get older and want to go to college. And now you've hopefully found yourself a little bit more. So application requirements, how to apply. So right now, the 2021-22 admission season is open, so we are taking applications. I believe the deadline for those is January 15th. While it seems kind of far away, there is holidays in between that people sometimes get caught up with. So something just to kind of have like a timeline in your heads here, we have 2 letters of recommendation are required from an English and math teacher, your transcripts. If you are not proficient in English, if you're an international student, for example, we do require an English test score, and then we do an interview. Things are a little tricky now. We might be doing more virtual, so Zoom works fine. And this is a conversation that we are trying to get to know you as a student, and really just see if you're a good fit for Ross School. Are you going to do well here? Are you excited to be here? What are you interested in? Who are you as a person? So I think that's something you can kind of expect there. It usually runs around a half hour. Here are some links for you if you'd like to look into it. I highly recommend that you follow us on Instagram or social media, just because it's really fun to see in real time, what are the students doing? What are some activities? Right now, it's Spirit Week. If you do follow us, you saw on our Instagram story the other day that some of our buildings are decorated in Halloween decorations. It's really cool just to see the little details of Ross School and really understand what the culture is going to look like here. And then, of course, my contact information, I highly recommend that send me emails, ask me questions. I have so many videos that I'd love to send. If you're interested in a specific, like performing arts, for example, or you want to learn more about the visual arts or STEAM program, let me know and I'll send you some fun videos. They only last usually a few minutes, so it's just kind of a little sneak peek into what we offer. And I think that's pretty cool. So that is the end of the presentation. I hope I didn't talk too fast. I know I tend to do that. So if you have any questions or maybe I didn't cover anything too in depth, let me know. And we can take a few minutes to kind of digest and ask some questions. So feel free to just put it in the chat below and we can move forward from there. But yes. You could always start with maybe what you were most interested in, and if there's something you want to hear a little bit more about, feel free to ask.
Can I ask just a verbal question or just best in the chat? I have what is the ratio for the high school of local day students to the boarding students?
Mm-hmm. So on a normal year, we have about 150 boarding students usually, and 80% of those boarding students are usually international. And as I said, they're coming from all different countries, and usually pretty spaced out so that you're seeing, a lot of students, they're not with fellow say German students, so they're practicing their English a little bit more. So what are you going to see is there's a lot of international students, but you are seeing a lot more local, especially when we have the lower school students on campus with us as well. Mm-hmm. So what is the remote learning plan is a question as well. This is a good question. It's good to talk a little bit about what we're experiencing right now. Something about Ross School that I thought was very unique and very inspired was that we didn't jump the gun anytime. We always kind of sat back and researched and listened, and we had a COVID team meeting quite literally once a day since it almost hit. And they were just having discussions, trying to figure out the best approach to get us all back together. And something interesting that kind of came from that is that they were inspired. They were saying that, we're not kind of looking for social distancing. We're looking for physical distancing, but also keeping that social aspect. So, with all the research we were doing and trying to figure out how to make things safe and enjoyable for students at the same time, is that, we moved from online, we moved to online in March, and it worked well with students. We had to record some classes because we do have international students who are back home. But coming back to school, we are able to do a hybrid program. So we are on campus 5 days a week. And the way it works is that a lot of these classes are being filmed and being recorded for students who are in a different country. And sometimes they're still live with us and they're interacting over, say, Zoom. And we're working with different platforms like Microsoft Teams and things, so people can interact and create teams and do this online, but also be in person. And it's working well right now. But if you're asking about the remote learning plan, it is something that we were able to transition to relatively easily. I'm surprised and very impressed with our faculty, and it's not what everyone kind of wants, but it's also something that we can do. And it's just a matter of having that conversation and having that communication even when you're remote. I hope that answered your question. I feel like I kind of rambled on to try to answer the full scope of it. How has everyone been doing? Are you doing online? Has it been kind of challenging, or has it been something that you're adapting to? How is everyone feeling? Hopefully pretty good. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to speak aloud or in the chat is fine as well. Oh, here's a question. I missed it. I'm sorry. How many students are there per grade 9 through 12? You're usually looking about 40 students per grade 9 through 12. So they get a little bit larger as you're seeing, but it's still smaller class sizes. I believe it's usually a 1 to 17 teacher to student ratio. So like I said, a lot of hands-on time, a lot of one-on-one time to really help students out. All right, well, I will put in here, just in case you didn't get it from the slide, my email. Please feel free to email me. There's always more we can talk about and learn about, whatever you're interested in. As I said, we're starting in the admission season, so email me with questions involving that if you'd like, and happy to work from there. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate your attention, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon. Thanks.